this on the computer, and we're ready to go. Okay, so internet security for seniors. So were you on last week? Were you on my previous week? Hello?
No, I'm not. No,
okay. So right, this is actually the fourth and last session of this four session course, but I'll revise everything. I'll run through it fairly quickly. We want to talk about, what is security. So here we go. So I just say, okay, that's me introducing myself. But the only reason I even showed the slide here is I want you to write down my email address down here at the bottom, right? If you've got a pen, and that's an underscore. So Jeff_Calvariski@earthlink.net. And after the session, if you send me an email at that address mentioning the security class, I will send you these slides, these exact slides we're looking at, so that you can you have something to keep for yourself. You can print them out. You can use it for reference. So if you've written that email address down, we'll move on.
Okay, great.
Okay, here we go. So we're going to talk about. I'm really going to skip through most of this now, saying, why are we here? Why are we concerned? Well, the thing that we're worried about is, we understand that the bad guys, and there are lots of them out on the internet, many of them, full-time professionals specializing in scamming people. And people say to me, well, what do I need to worry about? They're not looking for me. I'm just an ordinary person. But the issue is that the seniors like to, they would like to get access to your Social Security or your Medicare records so you can be blackmailed. Of course, we would like to get into your savings account, make fraudulent purchases with your debit or credit card, break into my apartment to abuse my cat and wear my clothes. Well, no, that's just a joke. That was just a joke, right? Most important, they don't want to do that. That's the one thing they don't want to do. But they do want to get your money. And then I say, worst of all, steal my identity. And that, the footnote says identity theft is today's fastest growing crime. And you think, how can anybody steal my identity? I am me. And yet, once the bad guys can get access to information like your Social Security number, your credit card number, and so on, they can pretend to be you. And there was, at least one case that I know about. A guy got a letter from the bank saying, he was way behind on his mortgage payment on his house in Las Vegas, and they were going to foreclose. And the guy had to, call the bank and say, not only do I not have a house in Las Vegas, I've never even been to Las Vegas. Well, long story short, it turned out they had stolen his identity and then bought this house, gone to the bank, got a mortgage, bought the house. Then immediately they took a loan against the house, which is rather easy to get. They'd taken out $20,000 or something like that. And they were now in Mexico or, wherever, right? And so, here's a poor guy who's got to not only, figure out, how to prove that he didn't take it out, right? But now he's got all the issues of late payments and a credit record and all this kind of stuff. That's happened to a number of people that I know about. So, all of this is real. And you say, well, why do they do that? Why are they coming after me? Well, the obvious thing is that they know that seniors typically have a little money. So are the hackers going after your 17-year-old grandson? No, right? He ain't got any money, right? Or he's got $100 in his bank account. They want a senior for two reasons. First of all, that we've got a little money, you're retired, you've saved a little money. But B, most of us don't understand all the technology, and so we tend to fall for the stories, and that's what I'm going to tell you. Right. So let's just skip ahead here a little bit. So a quote here from this famous general, you see him on the right, Sun Tzu, and he wrote this famous book called The Art of War. It was a book written. He was a general in China in the 500 BC era, and he wrote this book teaching generals how to fight the war. We don't really care about how to fight wars, but this is a kind of war, and I say the advice he gave was know your enemy and know yourself. So in order to protect yourself, you've got to know what your enemy is going to do, and a little bit about yourself. What are his strengths and what are my weaknesses, right? So any general needs to know, where is the enemy, how strong is he, how many tanks has he got, all that kind of wonderful stuff. But you also need to know what is your own weaknesses. Am I weak on the left flank? Have I got too few troops and all this kind of stuff? And exactly the same applies here. If we don't know who our enemy is and what he or she is trying to do, most of them are men, but there probably are some women as well. If we don't know them and what they are capable of, we can fight them or fight back. And if we don't know our own weaknesses, we can protect ourselves, right? So I'm going to try and talk a few things. I'll say, again, skipping ahead here, we're going quite quickly today. Growing up, we didn't have smartphones, tablets, Facebook, Google, all this kind of stuff. We're not usually also up on things technical, right? They know that we know how to use our computer or our phone, but we're not highly up on technical things. So they can, pardon the expression, they can BS us, and very often seniors, listen to the BS. Now, here's an important one too. We're law-abiding citizens. Most, retirees, senior citizens are law-abiding, and we respect and obey authority figures. If a policeman says stop, or the IRS says you owe us some money, we obey the law. We pay our taxes and all that wonderful stuff. And the reason I even mention that is they know that, and so very often they will pretend to be some kind of authority figure, whether it's from your bank or the IRS, or from Google or Microsoft or something like that. They will pretend to be somebody from, kind of higher up, and we tend to believe it, right? I'm going to carry on with here. So right, so, here's actually mentioned here that, Bernie Madoff, who just died last week, I think, was an early cyber crook, right? He took money from everybody, and today is the same for cyber crooks. They aren't your friends, right? So that's the important thing to remember. When you get a phone call or an email, they're not your friend. They may pretend to be your friend, but they have one thing in mind, and that is to get access to your assets. So say cyber criminals are ruthless. It doesn't matter whether you own $100 or $1 million. They'll take it, right? And people say to me, well, I haven't got a lot of money. I'm not Bill Gates. They don't care. They can get $100 from you or $500 from you. That's all in a day's work as far as they're concerned. So let's talk first of all about where they come after us. So the first thing is sort of not computer as directly is on the phone. So your phone rings and you answer the phone and they say, now here's an exact story that happened to a friend of mine last year, a retired guy. And they said, this is Microsoft calling. We've detected a serious problem on your computer, and there's a Chinese email or something coming in that's going to steal all your money, and we need to take care of this, and we're going to help you. So the Microsoft person said, don't worry, I've got Visa on the line, Master Visa card on the line, because this was, you have a Visa card, and we're going to sort this out for you. I've also had a call, from the IRS saying, my daughter hasn't paid her taxes and they're coming to arrest her. So the first thing is, in the case of my friend, he's a smart guy, very smart fella, was a successful businessman before he retired, but hearing that, all his assets were going to be stolen, his hair was immediately on fire, right? Oh my God, it's like getting told that you have cancer sort of thing. Everything else goes out the window. And they told him to go and get $4,000 of gift cards at Target. They even knew which Target. They said the Target in Sandy Springs. So they obviously had identified pretty much where he lived. And he went and bought, they wanted $4,000 of gift cards. Obviously, Target and these companies are aware of this now, and they would only sell him $1,000. But still, you got two $500 gift cards. And then when he called them back, they said, great, thank you very much. We're going to solve this problem now. You just, you keep the card, but just give us the number on the back. You've got the scratch off number on the back. And at that point, his wife sort of figured out, wait a minute, there's something wrong here. And she said, stop, before you do that, she told him, you need to call Jeff and call me. And then, obviously the whole thing was a scam. So the question is, why did they say this is Microsoft? Microsoft's not in this business. Microsoft doesn't, first of all, Microsoft's not in the business of finding viruses and problems like that. They sell software. They sell, Word and Excel and so forth. So they got nothing to do with viruses any more than Kroger does. Obviously, if you got a phone call that says, hey, this is Kroger calling and we found a virus on your computer, you wouldn't believe them, right? Because it's kind of obvious that that's not what they do. They sell milk, right? Yeah. Or this is the US Postal Service. We found a virus on your computer. You'd say, get lost. But Microsoft, oh my gosh, or Google, these are big names that we know about. But being seniors, we don't really know what Microsoft and Google do. But the one thing I can tell you, whatever they do, and they do a lot of things, that have nothing to do with viruses and problems on your computer. Now, they do, Microsoft does give you Windows, the operating system, and that does have protection against hacking and all that kind of stuff. But that's all they do. So they use this name, Microsoft or the IRS or Google, because these are names that we know. And another one, obviously, is your bank. This is Bank of America calling. This is SunTrust Bank calling. So they figured out you have a bank account at SunTrust or Bank of America or wherever, and there's some big problem with your account. Or this one I've heard too. Your account is there's somebody hacking your account right now. We need to work together very quickly to stop it. Of course, it's all baloney, right? There isn't such a problem. And what they're going to do is somehow they arrange for you to send them money. So in the old days, they used to have you do a bank transfer, but the banks, are wise to that now. So that's why they come up with this idea of, get in your car, go to Target and buy gift cards. Because gift cards, once you've got the number on the back, once you read the number on the back to them, that's cash, right? And they can use that number now. They can go to Walmart.com or Amazon.com and buy whatever they want. And, within 15 minutes of you giving them the number, that money's gone, right? They bought the TV set at Best Buy or at Microsoft, at Target, and they're gone. And your money, you'll never see the money again. Right? So question then is, if your phone rings, and it's Microsoft or Google or whatever, let's say it's your bank. You get the call. Your bank. This is your bank. This is Bank of America or Wachovia, whatever bank you bank with, Wells Fargo. This is Wells Fargo calling. Oh my God, I have a bank account with Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo tells me, there's a big problem with my account and it's been hacked by somebody and they're trying to, get my money back and so on. And all I have to do is work with them. Don't talk to them, right? Don't ever talk to these guys because they are much smarter than we are. They're real psychologists. They understand and we lose against them. So first of all, let's say immediately hang up if you do answer, but I've got an even better solution, which I'll tell you in a moment. Hang up immediately. What should you do? Let's say you're worried. What if this really was my bank calling? It could well be my bank calling. Maybe there is a problem with my bank account. What do? Well, get your credit card out. It's got either the bank or the credit card company's number, the 800 numbers on the back of the card, or you can go on your phone or your computer and you can go to, bankofamerica.com and look for their 800 number for customer service. And then you call that number. If they give you a number on the phone, this is what happened to my friend. They said, here's an 800 number. But of course, the person who answers that 800 number is obviously going to say this is Microsoft or the bank or whatever, because they're part of the scam. Okay, so never, ever talk to them. Call the bank or whatever, call them back, looking up the number online. If they say this is the IRS, hang up immediately, because in general, the IRS doesn't call you to say you haven't paid your taxes and we're going to arrest you. The IRS will, send you a letter saying you haven't paid taxes, or they'll impound your money. They can do that legally in your bank account and do not call you. And they certainly have tried to do to me with a scam. They don't tell you can pay your taxes by sending sending cash to a certain bank account, which may well be in China or Nigeria or somewhere, in which case your money's gone. But the more important then is the first rule that I have is, let's skip here. Sorry, let me go back one line.
It said never use a debit card.
Let me go back to that one. Okay, previous. Let me go back. I skipped over that. Come on. Yeah. Okay. Well, never use a debit card, right? So I often see that in Kroger and places like that, people are using the debit card. Never, ever use a debit card. In fact, I stood in Kroger one time and I was behind this lady. It was before, the virus. I was standing right behind her and she took out her debit card and she put it in the machine and I could actually see her keying in the PIN number. And I could see her PIN number was 1, 2, 3, 4 or whatever, right? So all that had to happen now is if I grabbed that card and ran and I could get away, I now got the card and I got the PIN number and you toast, right? But more important, the reason not to use a debit card ever, except for getting cash, right, is that a debit card is directly linked to your bank account. So if I get, I'm a crook and I get hold of your debit card number and I also find out what the PIN is, and that's not too hard. That money that I take out of your account, that a crook takes out of your account, that money's gone, right? The moment they take it out, it's gone. And if you've got $100 in your account, they'll take the 100. And if you've got $10,000 in your account, they'll figure out how to get all $10,000, right? So I know of at least one case, a client where they, where this happened without their knowledge. And when they, woke up on Monday morning and went to their bank, the balance was zero. And the bad guys have taken the lot and it's gone. That's it. If you use a credit card, the credit card company will usually reverse the fraudulent charge. And you're liable in terms of the law for $50 max. And usually they never charge you the $50. So I had an occasion where, some guy got hold of my credit card details, how, we don't know. And he was busy buying a TV set in Florida, in Miami, Florida. And the bank called me and said, are you in Miami? And I said, no. They said, no problem. We've got the transaction. We'll reverse it. You're fine. And the trouble though is with your debit card, when at least one case, my debit card information got stolen, you've now got to go to the bank. You've got to get them to issue you with a new debit card. You've got to, any accounts you got linked to it, you've got to change. It's a big mess, right? Credit card is perfect. That you're not liable for anything. Okay, so people say, well, I don't like credit. I don't want to build up any credit. And the answer is very simple. We essentially use a credit card like a debit card. We everything we charge to the credit card is paid at the end of the month. So instead of paying it instantly, you're just paying at the end of the month. You've got to be disciplined not to miss the payment. But then basically, the credit card is giving you a better credit rating. But more important is if the bad guys get your credit card number, there's nothing that they're still going to use the credit card and buy a TV set and they might get away with it. It's not going to cost you any money. Right, there's nothing much they can do with a credit card that's going to really affect you, because what will happen is the bank will just give you back the money and they will charge it to the merchant. So if the merchant didn't do proper due diligence, didn't look at the signature on the card or anything like that, the merchant's going to eat it, right? So it's Best Buy or Target that's essentially taking the risk when they take somebody's credit card, but you aren't taking a risk. So rule number one: never use a debit card. Okay.
So what if I use a debit card and don't put the PIN in and I change it to I use a debit card, but I tell them I want it to be charged.
Well, then essentially you're just using a credit card, right? You may as well use it as a credit card. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
As long as you're not entering the PIN. But I don't like debit card at all, because if they steal it from you, let's say, the guy grabs your bag or he puts his hand in your bag and you don't even notice it, and somehow they get your debit card, that thing is essentially cash, right? It's the closest thing.
Yeah.
In other words, even if they can't use the debit card, let's say at Kroger or at Walmart, they can go to an ATM and draw cash out. Okay, well, they limit it to $200. So what these guys do literally is they drive around the city and they may be able to get to 6 or 7 ATMs and take 200 at a time. There's $1,000 gone. Okay, $1,000 isn't the end of the world. It's not good, but why take the risk? So say if I got a credit card, even if I drop my credit card, let's say it happens, I drop my credit card, don't notice it, somebody picks it up. There's pretty much nothing they can do with it, right? They can go make a purchase, but either the bank will tell me immediately because they know what's going on. They're pretty smart these days. Or I'll see on my credit card statement at the end of the month, somebody bought a $1,500 TV set. Wait a minute, I didn't buy a $1,500 TV set, and I certainly didn't buy it in Dallas, Texas or somewhere, right? you call up the bank and they reverse it and you're fine. So, you know, you can use it, like I said, if you don't put the pin in and you had them charge it, you're really using your debit card like a credit card. So I say, let's do it the other way around. Use a credit card like a debit card. Your credit card,
Right.
you know, they charge it to your account and you're going to pay it at the end of the month anyway. So, you know, I've never paid, you know, 1 cent of interest to Visa or MasterCard or American Express. But I'm a terrible customer from their point of view, because they work on the basis that people don't pay at the end of the month. So they start charging you nice interest, right? As long as you pay it every month, it costs you nothing. So it's exactly like a debit card, except you're protected, right? So I'm very, you know, very careful not to, you know, the only thing I use my debit card for is to get cash out of an ATM, because that's the one thing you can't do online. You know, if you actually need cash, and we don't really need much cash anymore because everything's gone electric or electronic. But if I do need cash, I go to a, you know, ATM, get the cash out, and I put the debit card away, and I don't use it again until the next time I want cash. And these days, I think if I go once in 6 months to get cash, it's a lot, because, you know, everything is electronic. So just, you know, just be safe. You know, in most cases, your debit card is going to be fine. You're protecting it and so forth. But it's, I just say it's an unnecessary risk. You know, why do that? So, you know, here's a good, you know, this, I like this, this cartoon thing here. Imagine every time that, you know, you go online, there's a guy on the other side with a gun pointing it right at you. And that's pretty much true, right? There are lots and lots of people out there trying to get access to you. So you get the robocalls. They call them robocalls on your phone. Robo from robot. So there's no human being on the other end. Basically what they're doing is they got a computer, these guys, and it's dialing 404-121-111-222-223, trying every number. So when they get through to you, they don't know they're actually calling you. You're just the first number that actually worked. The previous 10 that they called were, you know, not valid numbers. And then they'll give you, you know, the whole story. So, you know, rule number one that I make for security is, if you look at your phone, fortunately these days, you know, everybody has a cell phone that tells you who's calling. And if, you know, at least the number who's calling. If you don't recognize the number or the name, because sometimes you'll see, you know, a New York number and it says, you know, Joe Blow is calling. Well, A, I don't know anybody in New York, and B, I have no idea who Joe Blow is. It's in most cases, it's a fake anyway. There's no such person as Joe Blow. There's, you know, they're actually calling you from Nigeria or somewhere. So like I said earlier on, if you look at your phone and you don't recognize the number, don't answer it. Do not answer it. You know, obviously, if it's your family calling, your friends, your doctor that you recognize, you know, Kroger's calling you to tell you, you know, to come get, you know, your pharmacy's calling you to come fetch your prescription, CVS or wherever you get your prescriptions done, that's fine. You answer the phone and everything's normal. But if you don't recognize the number, don't answer it. So the first thing everybody says to me, well, what if it's a real call? You know, what if it's me, Jeff, calling you to, let's say, tell you I'm postponing the lesson, right? This week's lesson, I'm postponing until next week. You don't recognize my number, well, you won't get that message. Not true. You know, if a real person calls you, whether it's, let's say it's a new doctor, you went to a doctor, you don't recognize the number, but they did some tests and they're calling you back to give you the test, what are they going to do? They're going to leave you a voicemail. So when I see a number on the phone that I don't recognize, I don't answer it. And then, you know, a couple minutes later, I go and look at my voicemail. And I can tell you 99.9 times out of 100, if there's no voicemail, it was a scam, right? And it was a real person, they're going to call, they're going to leave you a message and say, you know, this is Dr. Jones calling about your test that you had last Thursday. Please call us back on this number. Or you go and look up Dr. Smith yourself. You know, you go and look at you know, where you made the appointment or whatever. If they say this is the IRS, they never leave a message. They never do that. But if they did, if you got a message that says this is the IRS calling, this is a serious matter, please call us back on 1-800-123-4567. Do not call back on that number, because again, 99 times out of 100, it's a fake, right? And you will get somebody who answers the phone and says, this is the IRS, but really you're talking to some criminal in California or perhaps in Eastern Europe or Nigeria or China or somewhere, right? You don't want to do that. So if they did ever leave a message saying, this is your bank, or this is the IRS, or whatever, go and look up their number, right? And then if you get messages about, problems with your virus on your computer or any of that nonsense, and it's from Microsoft or Google or whatever, those are garbage, right? Those are criminals, right? This is not a thing that these guys are ever in. There's nobody out, actually, even the companies that are in the business of preventing viruses and so forth, they're not in the business of calling you. They don't know that you have a virus on your computer. If you have a virus on your computer right now, I don't know that. Google doesn't know that. Microsoft doesn't know that. Nobody knows it, right? You've got to look at your computer. So there's no way that anybody can ever say to you, hey, we found a virus on your computer, or there's some big problem going on your bank account. Your bank doesn't do that. Your bank, that's not the way your bank does it. So again, I said earlier on, Sun Tzu said, know yourself. So the thing here you need to know about yourself is don't react immediately, because as soon as you get this message that says, we're the IRS, we come in to arrest you because you haven't paid your taxes, or this is Microsoft and we found a virus on your computer, don't act, stop. We all tend to react because, if we're crossing a road and there's a truck coming, we better jump out the way. That's how we built. So, when you get this message, you think it's a truck coming down, to destroy your life and put you in jail or take your money away. Ignore it, right? Stop, wait, and say to yourself, do I remember what Jeff said? The IRS doesn't call. Your bank won't call you and tell you, there's some scam going on or something like that. That's just not the way they work. It doesn't happen like that. And most important, as I said, Google, Microsoft, all those guys, Facebook, do not look for viruses on your computer. They're not in that business to start with. And even if they were, there's no way for anybody to know that there's a virus on your computer, except somebody who hacked in and may have put a virus on your computer, right? So if I hacked into your computer and I put a virus there, or some kind of, malware, we call it, software that's going to do bad things, I'm the only one who's going to know about it. But I'm also going to tell you that, this device here, which you can see I'm holding up, is called a phone. You hear all the time people say, well, my phone got hacked. That's baloney, right? Nobody's phone ever got hacked. It's the same with companies. Every time you read in the newspaper, the city of Atlanta got hacked last year or the year before, and it cost millions to fix the mess, right? Of which we, of course, taxpayers are going to pay. That's baloney. Nobody hacked into, I don't know the whole story. They never tell you the whole story. The journalists who are writing the stuff don't know diddly squat about what they're talking about. And they talk about, well, the city of, I'm using that as an example, the city of Atlanta got hacked. Baloney. The only way that this phone can get hacked is if I let them in the door, right? So I'll give you an example. So let's say I decide to go away on vacation. I'm away on vacation for 2 weeks. I leave my front door standing open, and I got a sign on the outside that says, I'm away for 2 weeks in the Bahamas, right? Well, when I get back and my TV set's gone and all my furniture's been stolen, whose fault is it that happened? Well, of course, the bad guy who stole it is a crook. But I'm the idiot who left the door open with a sign on saying I'm not here, right? Or like one time happened, I saw friends of ours, they had a Facebook posting. Look at us, we're on vacation it was in Portugal. Look at us, we're in Portugal and drinking fancy drinks and having a wonderful time. We're in Portugal. And I thought, you idiots, you've just told the whole world that you're not at home, right? So the likelihood is when you get home, your house is going to have been ripped off. Now, the same applies on your phone. Nobody can get into this phone. These phones are very, very secure. Even your basic computer, your Windows computer is very secure. They can't get in. And if you've got the latest updates from Microsoft on Windows or on your iPhone or your Android phone, and those updates are provided to you free of charge, nobody can break in. So what they need is for you to let them in the door. So the first way you let them in the door is you answer the phone. Remember I said that, right?
Yes.
Don't answer the phone, right? So once you answer the phone and you start listening to their BS, they've already got you. You don't answer the phone, they can't get to you, right? And you know, they're not going to leave you a callback number, or if they do, it's a fake number which you don't call anyway. So there's no way they can actually get to you on the phone. It's hard to stop these calls. I don't know why AT&T and Verizon and all our telcos don't stop the calls, because they know what's going on, but they've chosen, you know, not to bother. They're leaving it to us to figure it out. The next thing is, I want to talk to you about, well, we'll come to this in a moment. In fact, let's talk about it now. Look around the, you know, this is what Warren Buffett was supposed to have said. He said, look around the poker table. If you can't see the sucker, you're in. So somebody invites you to play poker, and you go to a bunch of people, and it's a nice game of poker, and you're going to have some fun. They always say somebody's the sucker, right? And if you don't know you're the sucker, and if you don't know who the sucker is, it's probably you, and they're going to take you for all your money. So, you know, that's the issue when you get, you know, you get an email that says, congratulations, you've won $500, right? Or congratulations, you won a new iPhone. Well, you know, look around the table. I don't know. Why would they give it? Why would they be wanting to give me a free iPhone? And the answer is, it's a fake. You know, don't believe it. So the most important things we're going to talk about, we'll jump to emails here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this previous slide here. And I say, if you can see this slide, are you in your car at the moment?
If I can see it?
Yeah, can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, right. So this, you know, I won't go into the details. This was all the spam to my inbox, to my phone inbox in one day. And you can see it's a whole lot of junk, you know, subject over here, cannabis, get your free Terminix pest control, bladder improvement. Yeah, I need that, right? $5,000 you can get in one business day, blah, 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 blah. It's all junk, right? All rubbish. But what nobody ever looks at is where these emails came from. And so if we look on the left, we'll see the actual email addresses, right? And so each email address has got some sort of a name in inverted commas, like Terminix pest control in the third one. And then there's two arrows. There's a less than sign, a left pointing arrow, and a right pointing arrow. And the real address where it came from is between those two arrows. Now, without going into details here, every address has an @ sign, as you know, Jeff_Kalbrowski @earthlink.net or @gmail.com. So notice here, this came from a weird place called cronjob.org. I have no idea what cronjob.org is, but here they appear again and again and again and again. You can see most of these are cronjob.org. So cronjob.org must be some amazing company, because it does everything from Terminix pest control to bladder improvement, to free financing, to losing weight. I can lose 9 pounds in weight, and so on and so forth. Well, you know, no one company could ever possibly do all of this. So you can see that these are lies. These are emails that are, why would anybody send me this kind of lying stuff? And the answer is that within the email is a way that they're going to use to get into your computer, right? You see that? And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you how. So do you see what's going on here? How many of these emails that I got, real junk in one day, and that's only half of it. They came from this weird address, cronjob.org, right? And it's not even a regular email address like, you know, something @gmail.com or amazon.com. It's cronjob.org, which means nothing. But they sent me all of these scam emails, and the question. So immediately, you know, one knows that they must be junk, because no one company could possibly do all of that. So these things come from scammers who's sitting in Nigeria or Eastern Europe or China or somewhere, and they're just sending out millions and millions and millions of these emails, right? They're able to buy email addresses and send you this trash.
So should we not give out our email addresses so easily?
Well, yeah, well, remember I said to you, you know, look around the table and the poker table. You don't know who the sucker is, it's you. So the question that I ask you is, do you have a Gmail address?
Yes.
Okay, so how much did you pay for the Gmail address?
Nothing.
Nothing. Now, every time you send you send an email, how much do you pay for the email?
Nothing.
Nothing. Remember when in the old days when we send a letter, you had you know, you had to buy a stamp from Uncle Sam and put it on the letter. Otherwise, they won't deliver the letter. But Gmail, it's all free. Well, you know, Gmail comes from Google. Gmail stands for Google Mail. Google is $100 billion company. How did they get to be $100 billion company if they give everything away for free? And the answer is that they are not selling emails. The email they give you is for free. That makes you the sucker. What they're actually selling is you and me. So every day, as we speak now, right as we speak, it's happening. Google is having an auction right now, and they're auctioning off, say, 5,000 email addresses to companies. You know, they're generally dealing with reputable companies. People who want to buy email addresses so they can send you emails about a sale they're having or a product they've got or whatever, right? So essentially, they are selling us. Once they've given us the free email address, they are selling this to other people, right? So in general, be careful not to give you know, sometimes you have to give your email address. You know, many places, if you want to sign up for something that's real, they got to have your email address. Don't give away your email address unless you have to. So most people say, gee, it's free. I'm going to get this free software or this free this or free that. Nothing's free in this world. There ain't no such thing as a free lunch. So yeah, in general, try not to give away your email address. It doesn't actually help because you know, these guys, there are millions of these examples out there where they've got your email address. So assuming they've got it, I'm telling you, don't fall for this, right? So okay, let's just learn something about emails that most people don't know. What I'm going to teach you in the next few minutes is what very few people, including, you know, so-called computer experts, don't actually know. So what's an email? Okay, an email is a communication sent over the internet. It can have text in it, words and letters and numbers. It can have pictures. It can have videos. It can have even programs or stuff attached to it, right? And it most important can have links to other locations on the internet. I'm going to tell you, an email is divided into the following areas, really two major areas. The first one's called the header, right? So here's a typical email. It came from Amazon.com to me, subject, blah, 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 and with the date and time, right? So that email at the top where it says from, that's from whoever it's supposed to have come from, right? And most of us don't know what this is made up of. So I'm going to tell you about that in a moment. 2 should either be your email address or your name. So if it's one of your friends, it will have your name there, right? But it could also just be your email address if it's coming from somebody who doesn't know you personally, right? But then the question is, let's look at this email address, this from. So all email addresses are really the same as this. You've got a name in the front between inverted commas. Here it says Amazon.com, but it could say anything. It's like a nickname. This could say anything you like. It could say the President of the United States. It doesn't matter, right? Ignore that. But again, the scammers know that nobody looks at email addresses in detail. So they'll put a name in here that makes you think it's from Microsoft or Amazon.com or whatever. Get it? Now, the important part is here, like I said earlier, between this, see this left arrow, the sharp, this less than sign or left arrow, and the right arrow, that's where the real email address is, the real email address. And all email addresses have 3 components. They have an @ sign in the middle, as you know, like @gmail.com. They have a name or department, either person's name or a department number, you know, in a company on the left. On the right is either something like gmail.com or a company's name, amazon.com, bankofamerica.com, microsoft.com, right? So if I look at this amazon.com over here, which actually happens to be correct because this is from amazon.com, but that never look at this, what's in the front, because it can be faked, right? It doesn't matter. This is the real email address. And if this email is supposed to be coming from Amazon, I would expect this to say amazon.com, right? After that comes the body of the email. So that's the header. Nobody ever looks at the header. So we're going to look at the header on some emails in a moment. And here's the body of an email that I actually received. It's got some text in it, doesn't matter what it is. And then it's often got text like this in blue with a line under it, right? And we know we can put our cursor, our mouse on there, or if it's on our phone, we can touch on there and it will take us to this place, right? So these underlined, usually blue text is a pointer, or it's taking you to somewhere on the internet, right? And I always say, if you don't know where you're going, you don't want to go there, right? You remember what your mama used to say to you. You know, if you're walking home from school and a nice man stops his car and says, little girl, I'll give you a candy bar and I'll take you to school. What did your mama say? Don't get in the car, right? Because you don't know where you're going, and that's probably a bad thing. So this is the same thing. It's so easy to do that people just click on these things and they don't realize that they're being taken to somewhere on the internet, which is exactly like getting into a stranger's car. Not a good thing. So we call that an active link, right? So here again, yes, in more detail, Amazon.com, see it between the inverted commas. That's just like a nickname. They can put anything they like in there. So don't believe whatever it says. Then here we have the actual email address between these two arrows, the left arrow and the right arrow. And it's in the front here will be the name of a person or a department. So like here, store news, but it could be, you know, somebody's name, one of your friends, Mary Smith at gmail.com, or in this case, some department or some person at amazon.com. Let's have a look at this. Here's an email I received recently. This is a true email. This is a real email I got. It said, take this 30-second survey about Amazon and qualify for amazing trials. Choose from exclusive offers worth at least $50. Take the survey. Wow, all I have to do is, now this is a picture here. This whole thing is actually an active link. So if I click anywhere on this picture, it's going to take me, it would appear to Amazon.com, answer a few questions about their products or whatever, and I'm going to get $50. This seems like, man, this is money, you know, money from heaven. But like they always say, if it seems to be too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. So let's look a little closer at the header on this document. So this said it came from Amazon. Remember, I said to you, don't look at what's in the front, right? That's junk, right? The real address is here. So look, let's look here. Here's the less than sign. Here's the greater than sign, the left arrow and the right arrow. In the middle is the @ sign, as we expect. On the left of the @ sign is the name of the person who sent it to me or the department. Well, already this looks a little funny, right? 5NTGC72. That's sort of computer gibberish, right? It's complete gibberish. At something.com, aha, the company.com. But look at the name of the company, modernstealing.com, right? So these guys are not even pretending, right? They're not even bothering to change it. They have an organization called modernstealing.com. And I think this is quite funny. They're being open. They're telling you they're crooks, right?
I don't see that.
Sorry, say again. Say again.
I don't see that.
You don't see what? Hello? Oh, she's dropped off. You're back. You dropped off there for a moment. You're muted at the moment, Edie. You need to unmute.
Okay, yeah, I don't know how it dropped off.
No, no problem. You said you don't understand. What don't you understand?
No, I see it now. I didn't see that before. I didn't see.
Oh, you didn't see it. You couldn't see it. So can you see the real email address is garbage, right? Garbage, yeah, it should be somebody's name or something, you know, or a department.
Yes.
It's rubbish, which means it was just made up by a computer at modernstealing.com, right? So right. If I told you I was a representative of modernstealing.com, you'd be nuts to do business with me, right?
Yes.
Now, why do people fall for this junk? Because it says here Amazon. You see where it says Amazon? But like I'm telling you now, that stuff to the left of this of the left arrow is just a nickname. They can make up anything they like. And most people just look at this first word, it says Amazon, and say, aha, this must be from Amazon. And they click on this picture. Take the survey now, just click here. As soon as you click there, you are going somewhere on the internet. And you are probably not going to Amazon, you're going to modernstealing.com. And what is modernstealing.com going to do to you? I don't know, but you probably don't want to find out, right? Because the only reason they sent you this email is to scam you, to steal your money or whatever, right? So notice, you see, right? So the name Amazon, that's just fake. The sender is 5NTC GC72. What the heck is that? And the sender's domain is modernstealing.com. Don't say they didn't warn you. But 99 people out of 100 won't even see that. They see this Amazon, they say, oh, that's cool. And they click on the link. And once you've gone to their site on the internet, they've got you. They could in about 1 or 2 seconds flat, download software onto your computer. And that's how they hack into you. Do you see the difference between what the press says about hacking and what I'm telling you about hacking? Is they didn't hack into you. You let them in the door by clicking on the link. You see that? Let's take another one. Yeah, go ahead. Hello? You're frozen. Hello? Hi, Edie. Hello? Hello? Dropped off. And coming back. Twee minuten en ek is klaar.